They do not claim to have all the answers. But on Tuesday night in the old capital, members of the Belize Coalition to Save Our Natural Heritage faced a modest crowd to issue the latest information on the fight to keep the black gold from assuming the dominant position it holds elsewhere. If you have been following along, you know that ships were in Belize a few weeks ago to begin seismic testing deep in the offshore territory beyond the barrier reef. But environmentalists were not convinced that they had all the facts or the motives for this sudden appearance. Following a review of how the two sides got to this point, including that 2-minute clip where the Prime Minister is on record supporting a referendum on offshore drilling and the moratorium on exploration activities, the floor was open for questions. One participant wondered if the government had unwittingly sold the rights to the data that would be collected from the survey, like passports and visas, while another said outright he did not trust the people in charge to stick to the rules when this much was on the line economically. OCEANA's Janelle Chanona and Roberta Potts of Healthy Reefs Initiative responded this way.
The government has insisted, oh, we own the data, but we have asked pointedly, well, define own, because as far as we can tell, if you own something, somebody else can't be selling it. You own a copy, you own a DVD, but you don't own the rights to that material, and then somebody else can sell more copies of that data to other parties. So I think that's a great point to emphasize.
And maybe just to underscore that, and why I have to applaud the efforts of my colleagues or people in the coalition, because that has always been a push of the coalition. Let's see what agreements you're signing, and if we see that something is wrong with the agreement, we might actually take it to court, because we feel like you're acting in the best interest, in the national interest.
Pot also argues that government has not been entirely above board in its handling of the situation.
You look and you see that oil has brought in 1.5 billion since 2005 up until now, and you're starting to see declines. How much has tourism brought in, and what are we risking for that revenue that we're not even sure? And they're saying, well, the government's argument has been, we need to find out if we have. That's a risk that we think is too high a risk, because we haven't seen the agreements. You haven't reassured us that the safeguards in place, and you haven't been transparent and communicating this. I think a lot of this could have been avoided if they had communicated this to the people. I don't think people would have responded the same way they did.
Valdemar Andrade was, until recently, the Director of Destination Planning and Cruise Tourism at the Belize Tourism Board. He now heads the Turnef Atolls Sustainability Association, the group which manages the famous Turnef Atolls Marine Reserve. The committed proponent of tourism said Belizeans needed to begin counting the cost of potentially abandoning a multi-million-dollar revenue earner for one that has not begun to truly earn its keep and could still be a disaster.
We have not made the green accounting clear to the public of Belize. I think, I've heard it being tossed around that, the protected areas specifically don't bring money to Belize. If I look at the history of Belize Oil Fund specifically, one NGO alone is bringing in over the lifetime, millions and millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, and have been also a key implementer of getting other NGOs going who have also brought in millions of dollars. And I think it's time that we do that accounting. It's also not just accounting in how much money we bring in, but how much we bring into the direct economy of the country, how much people we employ, because every ranger that is employed in these protected areas is an employed person in Belize, and it also feeds the family of those rangers, and over time that has been significant. And I think we have to have that conversation with the government of Belize and with the public so that they understand that this is more than emotions, this is dollars and cents. Oil is for a short period of time at the end of the day. The natural resources is a prolonged period of time if we manage it properly. The quid pro quo there is managing it properly.
According to Chanona, they do not discount the necessity of the data, only why a company with obviously vested interests is involved.
Recall that these surveys, and Justin bring up the proposed area for these This was not even going to be what's called the lagoon area, which is from the reef going in west, which is the more trafficked areas, the shallow areas where knowing exactly where is what is very important, because nobody wants to find the sea floor with their boat or the boat engine, and we would like that either. But it's also that, yes, that kind of data offshore, because I think we can all agree there is very little that is known about that area in the deep offshore. However, we could get that through an independent entity working with other partners. This company, with an EIA, this company is not the only one with this experience on board, with this equipment on board. This should not be seen as, oh my goodness, we lost this invaluable data because this company is gone. We, if it is so important, can find the resources, can find the means of finding that 1.8 million and pay for somebody to do that work for us so that we actually own the data, control the data, and have the benefit of that data.
And in response to a question about the next step, Chanona advises the following.
If we could get everybody in this room that has heard this information to tell at least one other person what you've heard and encourage them to find out for themselves and to inform themselves, that would be great. And then you ask them to do the same thing. Because at the end of the day, we have seen where once people have the information, and we're not telling you how to think, we're just telling you to inform yourselves. Once people have the information, they will be able to make an informed decision. The next thing we're asking is that you support our call for transparency moving forward with this issue. This should be something that we should have been talking about as a country, as a people, for years. The fact that we've been talking about it, and as we've been talking amongst ourselves when we had to start these conversations again, for many of the members of the coalition, this is deja vu, because this was the same type of meeting, the same type of points raised when the petroleum concession map was first nationally exposed. So we really want that there is a meaningful step forward, and that once and for all we have a legislative position on offshore oil.
Aaron Humes reporting for News 5.